Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today I'm back with another speed build, and we are building a home that is covered in snow. We're building like a winter inspired home, and I'm excited to do this because finally, after a season of having absolutely no snowfall, New England got some snow this past week. So while it was snowing outside, I decided to cozy up at my computer and build something in the snow, and that's exactly what I'll be sharing here today. If you do like this build and you'd like to download it, it will be available on the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will also be in the description down below as well. So I am building in the world of Henford on Bagley, and I'm actually building on the bar lot, which is called the Gnome's Arms. You can see that in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. And I don't know if I've ever built on this lot before, but I was just like playing around with a shape I wanted to do, and I knew I wanted a relatively spacious lot that connected to a road and not just like up in the like wooded area of this world. And so then I ended up building down here, and I thought it looked really pretty with the river running behind the house, and I was just overall really happy with it. It ends up being a 2-bedroom house, but I feel like you could probably make it into a bigger house than that if you'd like to. It's pretty spacious, and I didn't imagine this was for a family, but you could definitely change that and make it for whoever you'd like. The second bedroom is kind of set up as an office with a Murphy bed in it. And the color scheme inside is lots of like blacks, browns, and blues. And I just think it came out really pretty in the end. I feel like I don't often do wintry homes that aren't Christmassy or like red, basically. So doing something that was a little bit more of a modern color scheme was really fun. And yeah, I'm just excited to share it. But right now I'm trying to figure out the windows I wanted to use. I do end up using these ones in the end from the Horse Ranch expansion pack. It just took me a while to figure out which ones to use. It felt like nothing was quite the right style I was going for, so it was a lot of experimentation, but I left a lot of that in so you could see the whole process. And then we're just getting some trim pieces and trying to figure out where the front door is going to be. I do end up adding another bump out here where the door is. I thought it was a little bit too flat in the front. At first I was liking the idea of that, but in the end, I do end up changing that, and there ends up being lots more windows on this. I was just trying to figure out the front door. I do end up going with the one from the Growing Together pack in the end, and I've been really loving that door lately. I feel like there's been a few items that have been go-tos in builds. That door is one of them. The tile from Home Chef Hustle is another one of those, which I'm pretty sure I use in this build. But I end up having favorites that I can't help but want to use all the time, so apologies if some of that is getting a little bit repetitive. I will try to change it up a little bit, and I've been sort of doing that. I recently posted a apartment build where I did a apartment that was all teal. It was like a monochromatic apartment, and I've had a lot of suggestions to keep doing that, but with different styles and colors. And so I really think I'm going to do that again sometime soon, and that does push me out of my comfort zone a little bit and try new items and colors, and it's a lot of fun. So I will probably do another one of those sometime soon. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, here that extra bump out has been added. The windows have been added, and I'm starting to add additional wallpapers. I didn't like that it was all this brown color, so I ended up adding in a black stone as well. And I feel like that just helped to make the outside look more interesting, having a bit more variation in the textures and colors on the outside, but it still looks like it all goes together. It looks super cozy and kind of modern, but it's still a more traditional looking cottage. And I don't know, I was just really happy with it. I also really liked the vines here, but I didn't like how they didn't change color with the seasons. So I ended up using this flower one that came with Jungle Adventure. So in any other season, these are going to be like pink flowers, but in the winter, they are this really nice chunky vine that look kind of dead, but they have a little bit of snow piled up on them. So I thought that looked nice. And then I also got some of these like narrow trees. I have a couple of the shorter ones, then a taller one out back, and I do change the trees all over this lot quite a few times. It's like a mixture of evergreens and some of the trees that came with cottage living in the debug menu. I believe we get a weeping willow on this lot. There's one behind the house as well, so I thought that would make sense to include that on the property. It was just a lot of trial and error with the placement of trees and all of the landscaping. There's not too much landscaping because this is in the winter, and of course you can't really see what you're doing and everything would be dead anyway. So I kept that in mind. So there's not a lot here that would probably look great outside of the winter time, but the whole inspiration behind this build was the fact that it was snowing outside. So I thought that that was okay. I also ended up getting those stepping stones leading up to the front of the property. Those are actually rugs that came with Get Together. It's hard to find things that will be able to be shown through the snow. So I thought that that was the perfect solution for that. So you could still see the walkway, and then we're just getting some more windows up here and this other little bump out that I added to the home. And I ended up pulling through a lot of this to the back and making it fairly symmetrical. And then this is going to be a little side yard space. I don't end up putting a lot back there because it is winter and I wasn't imagining there would be that much. But it's nice to have a little bit of a space like that. So you will see that a little bit later. Although for some reason, I feel like I added... Did I? I think I added monkey bars back there, but I wasn't really imagining kids were living here. But that could be something that was just on the property before the people that live here now moved in. Or maybe I didn't add that. I've been working on a couple of builds at the same time, so I'm not 100% positive. But for some reason, I remember adding monkey bars back there. But it is also winter time, and that wouldn't make the most sense. So maybe it's a different build that I'm thinking of. But anyway, we're working on the floor plan now and trying to figure out where I'm going to have everything laid out. I thought the kitchen was going to be in the front here for a little bit, but I do end up swapping this out and rearranging this space, and the kitchen ends up being in the room where I just put the bookcase. The floor plan was a lot of like kind of playing around and moving things and trying to figure out the best layout because I wanted it to be somewhat closed off, but still feel not like too closed off, if that makes sense. So it has a central hallway in the middle of the build, and then all of the rooms are sort of separate, with the exception of the living room that's just kind of at the end of the hallway. Although I did add an archway into it, but it's just a little bit of a strange layout, but I really liked it. And then upstairs I have 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. And then we're going to be heading downstairs, painting all of the wood floors and starting to actually decorate the spaces now that we have a floor plan here. And I'm, of course, going to start in the kitchen. That's always my favorite place to start. And I do end up using these countertops from the cottage living pack. And I changed them to a brown swatch in the end. I just thought it looked a little bit warmer. And while I wanted to bring in this more modern color scheme, I also wanted it to look really cozy and not too harsh, I guess. So I thought that the brown worked better in here. So that's what I'm doing now. Just laying out the kitchen. I wanted it to have a little bit of an interesting shape, not just be a complete U around the walls. So what I ended up doing is getting an end piece here, and then I have a separate section over on this side for the stove. And I do end up pushing one of those side pieces into the wall ever so slightly, just so that there's more space there. It might not be the most practical layout for the cabinets like in real life, but I thought it was a little bit different in the sim, so I was happy to do that. And then of course I'm using my favorite tiles at the moment from Home Chef Hustle in here. They're just really pretty. I feel like they can go with any style, and I loved the muted colors of this particular swatch. So I thought it worked really well for this kitchen, just getting some blinds over the window there. And then of course I need to get a range hood over the stove, and I should be cluttering up the countertops now. Just trying to get a bunch of kitchen clutter. Of course, that cookbook from Home Chef Hustle is so pretty. I also really like this shelf from the cottage living pack. It's just nice to have some things hanging on the wall, especially because when you have limited counter spaces, that's a good way to decorate the kitchen without sacrificing your Sim's ability to actually prepare meals, which is always something to keep in mind because if you add too much stuff, it won't be functional. But I try my best to keep most of the clutter to like 1 counter or 2, or like the ones that are end pieces that aren't functional anyway. I tend to clutter up those quite a bit so that it doesn't impact your Sim's cooking. And then that's also another reason why I use the cutting boards, because those don't impact because they are wall decorations. I did add a little plant in here. I think that's always such a nice thing to add by a kitchen sink. It just adds a little bit of life into the room. Nice pop of green, and then getting some soap over by the sink as well. And then the bar soap, I was actually kind of imagining it was a sponge, not a bar of soap. So that's what that's supposed to be. And then, of course, adding a trash can in here, some aprons, a little mat in front of the sink, and I got a little calendar as well. that has a dog on it. It's the winter version of the calendar that came with cats and dogs. So I thought that made the most sense for our winter inspired build. But we're in the entryway now, and I decided to add this really pretty coat rack. I think this one is from the Laundry Day Stuff Pack. It matched perfectly in this space, and I feel like I forget to use these coat racks. I tend to use the base game one that's just like a pole that you can hang a couple of coats on. And I think that these ones are really nice, and it fit the space really well. And then right as you walk in, this is going to be the dining space. I end up having a few different fireplaces throughout the house, and I think they look so pretty in the end. And first here, I need to figure out what curtains I'm going to use, and the rug. I end up rotating the table and chairs because it just didn't feel correct there, and I need to paint the walls a different color. There was just so much trial and error in this entire build. I really wasn't sure what I wanted it to look like, and I took out a lot of the footage of this room because I tried it so many different times. I just wanted to keep in, the general end result for this one, just because I couldn't figure out the layout. I couldn't figure out the wallpaper. I don't know why it was such a struggle, but I think it came out okay in the end. And then over in this corner, I decided to add like a corner shelf and one of those signs that has some snowmen on it. I thought that was really cute. It's not really Christmassy. It's just wintry, which I thought was perfect. And I end up using a couple of these other items from the holiday pack that really give that wintry vibe throughout the house. So you'll see those mason jars with trees in them quite a few times throughout this build. And just got some books out here. I also got a bookcase in the hallway, and I ended up using those bookcases a few other spaces in the home. They're really nice ones. Those are from the Book Nook kit, which is one of my favorite kits. And actually, speaking of kits, they announced like 4 new kits today. For this next quarter. The roadmap just came out for this quarter of January through April for The Sims 4. And 2 of them are highly anticipated kits, which are going to be the ones that we voted on last year, being the Castle kit and the Goth Fashion kit. And then the other 2, one of them is explained as a celebratory build kit, which makes me think maybe because this year The Sims 4 is going to be turning 10 years old, maybe it could be like some items we've all been asking for in the game, or like anniversary items or something. Maybe that's how we're going to finally get the heart bed back in the game, like in a functional mode. I'm not really sure. And then it said a like collaborative fashion kit, I think. So I'm assuming another time where they've worked with a creator from the Sims community. So that should be interesting. And also there's supposed to be a stuff pack, and it looks to be like jewelry making, because the particular the roadmap picture they showed, like little video thing, was showing a jewelry box. So that's what I'm thinking. If you want to see that roadmap, it is on Twitter or X. It's interesting to say the least. I'm kind of sad that there's not going to be a lot of content between now and the end of April, but it makes sense. We did get 3 expansion packs last year, so it sounds like we're going to have a slow start to the year, which is also kind of good because I feel like I get so stressed when there's a bunch of releases, and it's nice to just have some time to experiment and do some builds and maybe some longer series that are not related to new content. So I'm kind of excited for that. But anyway, this is the back room of this house. It's like the one that leads out to the backyard. I decided it was going to be a piano room. At first, I thought it was going to be an office, but I liked the idea in the end more to have a room with a standing piano in there. I thought it was really nice, or an upright piano. What do you call it? Anyway, I thought it looked really pretty. And then this is going to be the primary bedroom. I used this bed from the, oh goodness, what is this kit called? Modern Luxe. There we go. I get the kits confused because there are so many of them now. But I thought that this bed was perfect for this phase. It's modern but cozy, and I just brought in some more of those same colors that I have from the rest of the house. Another one of these really pretty chairs from the Book Nook kit, and I got a cute dresser over here, just putting a couple of decorations up there. I was just thinking a place to put some decor. I didn't really want to put anything too functional on top. I guess there's a clock there, but I put a couple of paintings and some flowers. It's a pretty simple room, but I think it looks really nice. And then I should be getting some bedside tables next to the bed. I struggle really a lot with bedside tables because most of them are way too big. These ones from Seasons, though, are perfect for when you're having a bed that's centered in a 3-wide space because they'll actually fit on either side. Whereas most of the other bedside tables in the game are absolutely massive. and they're really hard to fit into these smaller spaces. And I won't even say this bedroom is that small. It's just where I have the headboard for the bed. So it just was hard to find any other bedside tables that worked, but I really like those. So I wasn't too upset about it, but I do feel like we need some smaller bedside tables in the game. That would be a really nice addition. And then this is that other bedroom I had mentioned. It just has a Murphy bed, some bookcases, a desk, some extra storage, and it's nice. It's kind of nice to do houses from time to time where it's not always like kids' bedrooms or like a very specific family idea. Like I feel like this could be a home for a couple who is really focusing on their careers or doesn't want kids. Like there's a lot of things you could do here. And of course, if you download it, you can change the rooms however you'd like. And it's just nice to do this from time to time. I originally was kind of thinking I would do a family home, but I didn't end up keeping with that idea in the end. And then this is just the upstairs hallway. It's very small. I just put a rug, a couple of paintings. Actually, not even paintings. It's frames for you to put pictures in and a plant as well as some blinds. And then we should be heading out to the backyard, getting a couple of these shrubs here and some pathways. And for some reason, I remember putting monkey bars, but maybe I didn't. Yeah, I don't think I did. But with that, we're going to be heading on into screenshots. I really hope you enjoyed this build. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy the screenshots. Bye, everyone.